Thanks for downloading this episode of the Resilient Advisor Podcast. My name is Jay Coulter, and this is part of the Advisor Growth Series. My partner in this project is Jay Hummel. Jay, thanks for coming back on.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So I got to tell you, this series has been very popular in the advisor community, and I think it's because we keep the content short and deliver as much value as possible. You have a hypothesis that there is a scary question advisors could ask their clients, and it leads to all types of great information. Walk us through it.
Yeah, you can ask it in a number of different ways. We found this 5 to 6 years ago. We were working with a lot of firms who were spending all this money on surveys, trying to figure out what their clients wanted. Do they want digital advice? What do they want? And finally, we just said, why don't you sit down with each one of your clients and just say, why do you work with us? What value have we provided that makes you excited about being our client? And what I found is it was barbelled. You had people that got surprised by the answer from their clients. And you had the other side where the reason it's scary is some of their clients said, you know what, I actually don't provide any value. I don't see any value in our relationship. And it gave them an opportunity to talk about what they're doing as a firm for those clients' families.
Could you give some examples of both ends of that barbell? That's very interesting.
And when I was an advisor, I tried it. And I was unbelievably surprised. We had a client that I thought they were going to give the answer. We had helped them through a divorce. We had helped them buy real estate. We had helped them buy a business. We helped them sell a business. I thought for sure this person had been a client for 7 years. Of course, they're going to give us one of those examples. You know what the guy looked at me in the eye and said? When you sat down with my daughter, when she got her first job, and you walked her through the benefits packages she had and the good financial habits she should build, you told her the exact same things that I told her, but she listened to you because you weren't her dad. And it proved to us that you're not about our money, but you're about helping our family. And I was floored. I absolutely couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that's a great story. You know, I run into that in my coaching practice sometimes. I feel it's these robust systems I help the advisors implement, and then we'll find out that it's about helping them through one particular issue they're having with their manager or a particular issue they're having with their client where they really found the value. Let's go to the other end of that example. What if the client just flat out says, because the advisors are going to be concerned about this, you know, I just don't really think you provide that much value.
And I think that's great to know. And I think it's great to have a conversation. I think there's two things to learn when the client gives that answer. Maybe that's true. And maybe they don't see it. And you can have the conversation to say, well, what are we not doing for you that you would value? On the other side, as I guarantee you, 80% of the time, if an advisor gets that answer, the client doesn't understand all the things the advisor is doing behind the scenes for them or their family. And it gives them an opportunity to say, hey, did you know these 12 things that we've done since the last time we met? Or do you remember 3 years ago when we did X, Y, and Z for you? Your clients are busy. They only remember what you articulate to them. And by getting that scary answer, it gives you an opportunity to reframe them on all the things that you're doing for them and their family.
So I go back and forth on the idea of a service calendar. I've seen it work successfully. I've seen it fall apart. Would a service calendar help in that situation? And where have you seen service calendars really be impactful for advisors?
I don't really like them. The thing that I really like, and it sounds like it adds an extra step. Every time when I was an advisor, I used to meet with a client, I would follow up with a next steps letter. I'd say, here's the key discussion points we had. Here are the next steps of what we're going to do. And it gave me an opportunity to point back. It made sure that we were doing the right things because those next steps went right into the CRM and then we could follow up. But by going back and saying, hey, do you remember all these things that we did for you? So I like that process better than a service calendar. And I also like rotating meeting themes. So if I'm going to meet with a client 3 times in a year, one's going to be about risk, so I can talk about the risk. One's going to be about planning, so we can talk about planning. And the third one, I generally would pick something that's that's specific to that family that might make sense. It might be investments, it might be real estate. But I like that rotation with the next steps letter more than I like a service calendar.
Interesting. And, I found, it's a bifurcated outcome, as you might imagine. Some folks that implement the service calendar, they feel it keeps them on track. The other folks feel that it's just too restrictive and life happens. Different needs come up over the course of a year, and it can really clog up a CRM system, as you know.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. So as it relates to that scary question, I like it in a face-to-face meeting. Have you seen anybody execute it effectively through email?
I have. I should say I've seen people send the email and then follow up with a phone call. I don't
Hmm.
know that I would do that because obviously the whole point of asking the question is to build that relationship. So maybe it's via video like this where you and I talk, but I maybe would frame the conversation, set it up via email, but I would not finalize the conversation over writing. I would have a conversation either digitally on the phone or in person.
So, to put a marketing hat on this, I have a client, an advisor down in Florida that did this via email to prospects. The language was a little bit different, but it was something along the lines of, as a 30-year veteran of this industry, I try and keep myself up to date with what's going on in the industry, what are best practices for serving clients, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on the value of a financial advisor is. He uncovered 2 8-figure opportunities by sending that out to his prospect list who had been following him for a long time, but that was the conversation they wanted to engage in. Have
Well, I
you
also
had it?
think you can prospect. I think you can prospect using that, taking it one step further. When we did it, we served 250 families. So we actually categorized it, and we took all the answers to see if there were common things that we did well, and we found common things that we did well. And then we realized that must be what we're good at as a firm, and that must be our value proposition. So now let's go out and target prospects and talk to prospects about, and obviously you got to be careful in compliance. 77% of our clients really value that we have a relationship with the parents and the kids, that they're deep. We're good at that. If you want that in a firm, you should come talk to us because we're good at that. So I think this question also allows you to find out what you're good at, what's your value proposition that your prospects love, and go out and find people that want the services that you do well.
Well, on a future episode, I want to get your thoughts on building a niche and a brand. And clearly, that exercise right there would help play into that. Jay, thanks for coming on this podcast. I'm really, really excited about how well this series is going, and we'll talk to you next time.
Sounds great, Jay. Thanks.
The information provided is for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice and should not be relied on as such. It should not be considered a solicitation to buy or an offer to sell a security. It does not take into account any investor's particular investment objectives, strategies, tax status, or investment horizon. You should consult an attorney or tax advisor. Resilient Wealth LLC is a registered investment advisor. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where Resilient Wealth and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. For Resilient Wealth information, please visit Investment Advisor's public disclosure website at www.advisorinfo.sec.gov by searching Resilient Wealth CRD number 301986.